Hi guys, my name is Daniela, and the event I'm going to be talking about today is my cousin's wedding. I attended my cousin's wedding last month. Um, she got married. They're both Christian, and she got married to someone that's American. His side of the family was born here. His grandparents are from Italian descent, but since his parents were born here and he was born here, they've adopted a lot of the U.S. customs and traditions. Um, my cousin's Peruvian, and we were all born in Peru, including me. We were all born in Peru, so a lot of our most of our customs and traditions are Peruvian. Now, I do want to talk about the Peruvian American culture and how they are different. Peruvian culture is very collectivistic, so basically everyone cares about not just themselves, but as everyone as a whole, compared to American culture, which is very individualistic, which means they think about they care about themselves before they care about others. They think about themselves, they put themselves first in the situation um, before they put others in front of them or together. Now, Peruvian culture is very high context, which means they like to communicate through gestures more than directly, compared to American culture, which is low context. So they like to communicate. American culture likes to communicate more directly and get straight to the point, and uses some to no gestures. Now, an example of this happening, a lot of the was in the reception. A lot of the examples I'm going to be using are in the reception because the ceremony, since they're both Christian, there wasn't really any differences. It took place in a church, and everything was really much how it was supposed to go. So a lot of the instances I'm going to be using are happen in the reception. So to show an example of high context and low context, um, my aunt was giving a speech, like the toast, for them, and parents were giving the toast. So it was her parents and his parents, and my aunt started crying while giving the toast. So she stopped midway toast, and she actually started crying because she got very emotional. And then compared to his parents, which were they were just very much happy, and then they just got straight to the point, said what they needed to say. But my aunt started crying, and you can tell the differences when it comes to gestures. They're more emotional when it comes to things, show more emotions through gestures, compared to his side of the family, which in American culture, which is more communicate directly and get straight to the point. Now, Peruvian culture has high uncertainty avoidance, and American culture has low uncertainty avoidance. So, Peruvian culture actually likes to follow the rules, have a set of rules, and know what to follow, compared to American culture, which is they're very much about freedom of speech, and letting people do not whatever they want, but have more freedom of speech, letting people think what they want to think. Now, there was an instance in the reception where I noticed a little bit of judgment from his side of the family and how his culture works, and you saw a little bit of egocentrism, and that was before cutting the cake. So before cutting the cake, Peruvians have this tradition of singing a song which is called corta la torta, which means cut the cake. So you start singing, kind of like Happy Birthday, but for cutting a cake. So we started singing the song, and you can tell in the expressions of his side of the family, that they weren't really sure what was going on and why we were singing a song, because you can tell that that's not part of the tradition. So they're a little bit not really sure what was going on, and kind of like judging the situation, because they're, apart from there being a language barrier, because his side of the family only speaks English and our side of the family only speaks Spanish. Some of them really weren't sure what we were saying in the first place. But you can tell a little bit of judgment from the expressions of his family. Now, this event would have gone completely different if both of the participants were from the same culture, and that's because if we were from the same culture, we wouldn't really have any differences when it came to customs and traditions. Everything would have gone the same. They wouldn't also have been a language barrier, because everyone would have either spoke Spanish or English, and known what to do because everyone has their own traditions. The communication was appropriate because we were able to all put our differences aside, apart from language barriers and customs and traditions, how things work in our families, and we were all able to go and have a good time and be in harmony. And then this was an intercultural communication encounter because there was two cultures that met in one place at the same time. So there was his family, which is American culture. Most of them are Americans, and then our side of the family, which are Peruvians. Most of our family were Peruvians. A lot of them did travel from Peru to come to the wedding, and we were all both our different cultures, so we learned how to interact accordingly. Even though some of us did have a language barrier, and so we had to learn how to interact with each other during with gestures, and we learned how to learn a little bit both of our cultures. They learned that we sing a song before cutting a cake. They had to learn to be more high context and use gestures because of the language barrier. So we were both able to interact accordingly to the situation, and both two different cultures were able to meet interculturally in one event. And that's my intercultural analysis presentation. Thank you.